sessions with people who would come. I invited people to Atlanta. I invited them to Tulsa. I had all kinds of workshops, and I wrote a book, and I've done scores of television and radio interviews. A lot of the preachers, when it becomes, see, a lot of the stuff we do in this church world it's about fans and popularity.
Yes.
And whoever's the popular preacher. Now remember, I've been in this 40 years. That's where the crowds go. Whoever's the biggest guy on TV, you know, I know all that stuff. So it wasn't that I didn't. The people came so harshly against me.
Yes.
They nailed me to the wall. I'm still trying to sort through this thing myself. I didn't make it public. The media picked up things, and they just nailed me. I'm trying to explain the scriptures and pray and cry and fast and seek God.
But I asked you not to go to the College of Bishops. I told you not to go.
Well, I don't remember that, but Bishop Ellis I've known for years, and half those guys were members of the fellowship, my Azusa fellowship, and I felt because I had made these grandiose statements, I owed it to the church world with whom I had served so long some meaningful explanation.
Yes.
I didn't know that they'd have 3 rebuttals.
Yes.
There's nobody in this group tonight that supports me. But I knew I might be a little bit of a Daniel in the lion's den tonight, but I do these kinds of things because, and I don't do them often. I love this lady. We can mind the same things without having the same mind about everything. False doctrine does not necessarily make a person a heretic, but an evil heart can make any doctrine heretical. All I'm saying is let's rethink our message of the finished work of Christ and of love. I live holy. I walk with God. I'm faithful to my wife and she to me. I honor my children. I have preached the gospel, and I will continue to preach it. I pray. I meet thousands of people in different settings, and the reception is beautiful. I did my work well. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. They're playing the Azusa music. The next time it may be inclusive rather than in Azusa, and y'all won't come. That's cool. I did my.
If you let me preach.
I know it. I'll do my work. I met with that College of Bishops. I wrote letters to. I won't name the preachers that I had phone conversations with, many hours with Oral Roberts. I won't name the other name, but I talked to guys over the phone. They called me. We went around the table. When it was said and done, we went our separate ways because I was listening to what I felt was God. You may call it a demon. I'm familiar with the demons. I probably cast more out than ye all. I speak in tongues. I know what heresy and fallacies are. I used to attack them too. You know, I've been all through all that, and I've had many roundtables with people one-on-one and groups. My whole pastoral staff, I let them storm me with questions, and they did before they walked out. And but when, as they say at the end of the day, you have to follow your heart. I expect you to do that. And if this is where your heart is, I salute you and pray for you like you pray for me. I've never stopped loving or praying for you. And I know how to do that. And I know how to do it under the anointing. So let's agree to be friendly, if not friends. Okay, I told that College of Bishops, the preacher said, Bishop Ellis, you're not welcome in any of our churches. I said, I'm trying to get out of y'all's church and read somebody else. I don't want you to call me to your church. You got these guys. They're great. And all of them, great preachers, fasting and praying. You can, with this young preacher will come when we finish him. Bless you. I want him to. He knows how to do it. Packed this place out, had him sitting outdoors. You've got what you need. You've got what you need. You're fine. Don't be threatened by me. Just love me and pray for me. I'll do what I do. You do what you do. But I won't hurt you. I won't hurt anybody. So just relax. And the rest of the world needs to see, as somebody mentioned it. Ted Haggard, I went to school with him. He lived on my wing. 2 weeks before he denounced me, then he's caught with a man and another man and drugs. That shocked me. I held his babies in my arm, helped dedicate, walked his prayer, and I could go through a whole list of people. I wouldn't reject Ted. I believe the gifts are without calling. We got babies stretched across this country, preachers. I know stuff. I had a man offer me $100,000 to preach on the Azusa stage, and I took the first 10,000. Not personally, I gave it to the people that handled the finances. But I went home that night, and this was way back. He said, do for me what you did for somebody else. Yeah. And he gave me the first of, he said, here's the first installment. Shocked me. I went home that night and cried myself to sleep because I realized I had just prostituted the whole meeting. And I'm not talking about Jakes because I didn't know Jakes at this time, somebody else. This was in 1990. And I just realized that they were pimping me and I was pimping them, and I knew the conference was going a direction that you don't know about what I had to do with behind closed doors with ambitious preachers. And I saw a fallacy there, and I saw a sickness among how we get intoxicated with who we are and with our gifts. And yes, I was cut down low and humbled, but I heard God. And I hear him now. And I'm obeying God. And I'm too old to play. Where most of these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. Most of these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. There's these guys are trying to get, I've been. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful.